Where did you kind of start off getting into politics? Where did the inspiration come from?
Well, I got involved in political activity when I was really young, like when I was a teenager. And at that time, there were a lot of issues around. We had troops in Vietnam. British troops were in Northern Ireland. Women had to get their husband's permission to open a bank account or an account at a shop. This is unbelievable in my lifetime. There were a lot of environmental issues. So I got involved in issues rather than in party politics. And eventually, I think I got sick of being opposed to stuff, and I wanted to really change things. And I thought the only way to do that is actually get involved in a political party. So I did. I got involved in the late 1970s. And I looked at all the parties because I wasn't sure that you could just sort of choose a party and it would work. And Labour lined up with values that were really similar to mine. So I joined the Labour Party.
And, on that point, you're obviously a very senior member of the Labour Party now. You were fifth on the list for the last election, and by my count, we've had three leaders, and Shane Jones retiring since then. So, does that kind of put you as next in line for Labour leader?
I like your maths. I think that new maths is really good. No, I've got no interest in being the leader of the Labour Party. I have leadership abilities in lots of areas, but I don't want to lead the Labour Party. I never have. I wouldn't be able to commit myself with the sort of time and energy and passion that you need to be the leader.
Let's talk a little bit about the Labour Party as a whole coming into this election. So what do you think Labour's chances are, kind of realistically, of being our next government this year?
Well, under MMP, it's quite a different scenario, and our polling has pretty consistently showed that Labour Greens are about the same as National Act. We might have the Conservative Party in the mix. Who knows what's going to happen to the Māori Party? Who knows how many New Zealand First is going to get? But I'd never say never with Winston, actually. Yeah. So I think that as the election gets closer, people will be focusing more on the real issues. Yeah. So certainly the feel that I get around my electorate is that people are much more interested in getting their houses fixed or having affordable homes to rent, jobs for their kids and grandkids.
So talking about those kind of electoral policies and things that are going to come into play, does Labour kind of have any rabbits to pull out of the hat in terms of policy that is going to come out kind of late in the election
So this is breaking news on Plains FM.
Yeah.
So we've already started our manifesto announcements, and we're trying to do them a little earlier than sometimes. There's a risk in that. If you announce really good policies early, and the government thinks it's being impacted, National thinks, this is going to get the voters going towards Labour, they'll announce something similar. They did with paid parental leave, actually, in the budget. It was a smart political move, but it means that we've got to be really careful about what we announce and when. But we've started our Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Package. That's going quite well. And there have been other announcements, so yes, more to come.
And a party that has suddenly kind of come onto the scene and could possibly play a part if they can get sort of around that 1.3% of the vote is the Internet Mana Party. Would Labour consider going into a coalition with the Internet Mana Party as an option just for a couple of extra seats, if you like?
Yeah, there's a lot of hurdles to be got over before we talk about those, any of those sorts of arrangements. And the first thing is the election. People need to determine what shape they want the government to be. So we haven't ruled out any of those discussions. I would be asking before we started any discussions, what does the Internet Mana Party stand for? I know that what it stands against, which is having a national-led government, but actually you need a little more than that. So any arrangements in government, and we've had them with both Greens and United Future, and also with New Zealand First. They need to be really clear right from the outset. What are you trying to achieve, and what can you agree on? So I wouldn't rule out any possibility. We've done unusual arrangements in the past, and actually they've worked really well. Winston Peters was my associate senior citizens minister. and I was the minister, we got the Super Gold card through. That's a good thing. But ask me 10 years ago, would we have been in an arrangement with Winston Peters? I would have thought no.